Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to Nerd Fight! It's the ultimate showdown where geek culture collides with unfiltered opinions and passionate debates. I'm your host, Mr. Know-It-All, bringing you the latest and greatest from the world of movies, TV shows, and all things nerdy. But hold on to your warp cores because the real captain of this starship is none other than Salty Trekker. Together, we'll navigate the cosmos of pop culture, dissecting the hottest topics and giving you the inside scoop. So strap in and get ready for a wild ride because tonight we're talking about none other than Deadpool and Wolverine, the brand new movie that came out. We've finally seen it. That means only one thing. It's time to fight. Nerdfights.
Oh. Sorry about that. I got to figure out how to make it just do once.
What did it play more than once? I thought it was.
It was starting a second time.
Oh yeah. Okay, so what you can do? Sorry, guys, production meeting in the middle of the live stream.
Good.
But by the way, everybody give it up to Mr. Know-It-All for that wonderful audio intro. That was awesome.
I appreciate you guys.
But what you can do is you go to the little gear icon on the actual thing, and you can select the loop option. Turn that off.
Got it.
But the default is that it does loop.
Nice.
I dropped my phone, I think, and so now it's. Oh no, it's over there. It's like I keep hearing text messages come in, and I'm like, ah. So yes, this is incredibly professional. Let's see. That was probably like, oh yeah.
You know that I'm really excited about the movie. Hopefully, you guys are excited about it too. We've watched. I've been watching Marvel movies and different movies from this genre for years,
yes.
And I think that it's seeing. I don't think. While I don't believe this is gonna blow the world on fire, it does have the sense of Marvel. And if that makes sense in a good way.
No, you know, it's funny you say that because when we got out of it, my daughter, the first thing she said about it was it felt like Deadpool was in a Marvel movie.
Totally, yeah.
And so that's that, and she meant that in a good way.
Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
I think that, and Alex, we are not talking about the benefits of capitalism or any of that tonight, okay?
Wow.
You're talking about Deadpool and Wolverine, and
guys.
we might talk about some X-Men and MCU, but we're not talking about world politics right now.
That's right, and we're definitely not talking about Bitcoin, whatever that is.
Oh, yeah, no Bitcoin talk. Ugh.
Sorry.
I've been hearing way too much about Bitcoin lately. For those of you that don't know, there's a huge Bitcoin conference going on in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, my God, that's right.
So big, in fact, that President Trump and RFK are attending.
Okay. That's the weirdest thing.
So, whatever. And no, Stan, Wolverine has never been in an MCU film before.
That's right. This is the first one.
Yeah. And by the way, we're not going to get into spoilers yet. We will in a little bit. But when we do get into spoilers, we'll talk about some other characters that have not been in Marvel movies before and are now. So some of which, I mean, look, the ones you know about from the trailers, that's just scratching the surface.
Absolutely.
And so, and in fact, the big ones were mind-blowing.
They really were.
But I actually, because I know we usually start out with a quick, hot take of what we thought of the movie. So I'll let you go first, Mr. Know-It-All. What's your basic, 1 minute review of this?
So I think at its core, this movie is, like I said, it's not the groundbreaking, ground-shaking event that people thought it was going to be, but for sure, the movie itself is marking a new sort of change in pace from the things that have sucked, and hopefully heading back toward the things that we used to love from yesteryear, if you will.
Yes.
That's my short version of it. It didn't set the world on fire. It's more of a love letter to Fox than you might think, and it did not destroy the Fox universe. In fact, dare I say, I think it saved it.
Yes. And so for me, my hot take, I just couldn't quite. Well, I pre-recorded it for you. So Mr. Know-It-All, I think you have that there.
I do.
So let's take a look at my hot take. restarted for some reason. So, it is at this point in the film that Logan and Wade find themselves in the void. And we find out that in the void, you are either food for Eliath or you work for her. And by her, I mean Cassandra Nova, a megalomaniacal, egotistical, psychotic asshole, a finger-licking, dead-inside pixie slab of third-rate dime store nut.
There it is.
And I'll tell you what she can do. She can lick my goddamn cinnamon ring clean and kick rocks all the way to bald hell. In fact, I don't give a shit if she removes all my skin and pops me like some nightmarish blood balloon. If it's the last thing I ever do in this godforsaken cum gutter existence is light that box on fire, I still won't die happy.
Oh,
That's
jeez.
right. I won't be happy until I've urinated on her freshly barbecued corpse and husked the charred remains while gargling Juggernaut's juggernauts.
That's awesome, bro. Oh my god, that is great.
And you can quote me.
That is beyond words great.
Yeah. So,
Oh, I cannot. Anybody who doesn't know what that's from, that's actually from the movie. It's a quote from the movie.
that is a direct quote from the movie.
But you'll never guess who says it.
Yeah, not if you haven't seen it. If you
No,
haven't
for
seen
real.
and by the way, guys, if you do know, don't post it, at least not yet, in the chat, because there might
For
be
real.
people here that haven't seen it.
I mean, mind you, this is spoilery, obviously.
Yes.
But if you guys haven't seen it, what are you doing here?
Yeah, why aren't you out there right now seeing this
Going
movie?
to watch it, for real.
So, yeah, I absolutely love this movie. I think that, I agree it's not like some groundbreaking Avengers Endgame
Right.
massive event film. But I think that the big thing about it is that it acknowledges directly that Marvel was having some trouble and needs a new direction. And while it doesn't direct Marvel's new direction, it shows you that there is a new direction.
Right. Agreed.
And so the superheroes we do get in this that are completely unexpected just are icing on the cake. And by the way, and this is, I think, really important, there is not even the slightest hint of any political correctness
True
or
story.
wokeness or anything like that. This is not a politically driven movie at all.
Yeah, I agreed. I didn't get, at least that's not what I got from it, for sure.
Yeah. So the movie was definitely not dime store nut milk.
No, I thought it was, again, I thought it was good. Do you want to just, I guess, kind of more or less get into our sort of discussion about it?
Sure.
Okay, so the gist of the thing, for those of you playing at home, obviously it's because from all the trailers, everything the trailers have covered, which is Deadpool having to do something along the lines of to save his universe. Well, it turns out in the story that what's his name?
Wolverine,
oh my
Logan.
god! Thank you. Yeah, Logan. That's right. But his Logan, not that's why I was. That's why.
And
I was
his
thinking-
Logan is the Logan from all the prior X-Men movies, including Logan.
Correct. Right. And apparently he has, because he died. So it's funny. That also tells us where in time the two periods take place. Like you stagger step them. And so he has died. We all saw it, Logan. And now his universe, that entire universe is going to start fading away. It could take thousands of years, but this guy, Mr. Paradox from the TVA, he goes and he takes them and he brings Wade. That's that part where you see where he's in the hallway after his party, the family party, as it were, and he comes to this. They bring him to the TVA, and at the TVA, he ends up having to. He gets to see everything.
Oh, Mercer says he sent a super chat. Oh, you know what? If you sent it via the link, he doesn't have that yet. So I'll have to let me look that up. Thank you, Mercer. I'm sorry. Continue.
No, you're good. You're good. So hang on. Yuckster Thorzy Ness, Mr. Know-It-All, what is your favorite snack food when you see a movie? It has always been jujubes, but most definitely it's always popcorn. So popcorn and jujubes are my two that I go back and forth with. If I'm with my wife, it's popcorn and Twizzlers. So because we love us some Twizzlers. So thank you. Yeah, man. Not red vines. That's that Bo Ricca fake Twizzler. That's Twizzler's evil stepbrother.
First of all, I will have you know that red vines were around first.
So were Hydro Cut cookies, and Oreos beat them out. So I don't know. I don't know if being first is all that important. If you're better, if your product's better.
Well, I'm just saying you can't just like act like, oh wow, red vines are imitation Twizzlers. No, Twizzlers are imitation red vines.
Fair enough.
All right.
Okay. No,
and red vines are really just the original red licorice, and I like black licorice. Unfortunately, you can't find black licorice anywhere.
It's true. It's very difficult. And even the stuff they're calling black licorice is just licorice flavored. Like it's actually it's the same candy, whatever it is, but flavored in licorice, which I'm like, I feel like that's cheap.
Okay, it's not this one. Sorry, I'm looking for the right PayPal account here. I have a couple of them, and I couldn't remember which one to log into.
No sweat, handle it. No, you're good. Okay. So right around this part what they break down for us is Wade gets to actually see the Marvel Universe. He's being invited in, legit, and he was retired, and so now he's in his outfit. And what's funny, there's this really wonderful scene where he's like, well, let's put me back in my costume, blah blah, and they make him a new outfit, and that's why it's a little bright. It's a little more Marvel, we'll say, a little brighter red and whatnot. It's got the little belt buckle they can advertise and sell. And so, but because Mr. Paradox, he's the one that made the offer. That's this guy. Very British, by the way, way over the top. I love him. He's a really funny actor, and I thought it was cool. So then, but we forget all. See, the funny part is as we're diving into the actual movie, I feel like they sort of left behind. Yes, they're important, all of his other players. So all the characters who are from the last two, if you came to see them, that's sorry. You get them for like all of a minute. And legit. So then it almost, now that I'm thinking about it that way, I'm like, oh my God, that's so sad. So literally Wade's like, welcome, here I am, the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
And those guys going, even though they're always in a picture and they're supposed to be so important, it's just like, really, guys? Is that how important they are to you? And every few minutes they're like, oh, we haven't reminded everyone. I want to matter. I want to save the world. And I was like, all right, fine.
Well, I think that in fairness, okay, so obviously Dopinder and Colossus and Blind Owl and all those guys, I love the characters, but I think we'll probably see some of, and of course, Peter.
Yeah, man.
Now, Peter actually has a significant role. But
Peter kind of does. It's so shocking.
But, I would have liked to have seen Colossus.
Me too.
And I'm hoping that we get more of those characters in the future. But I think this one was really, they had to focus on Deadpool and Wolverine. And if they start bringing in a lot of Blind Owl and Colossus and stuff, like from the other movies, you wouldn't have you have two main characters this time, not one. And so you got to split the time between Deadpool and Wolverine, not between Deadpool, Wolverine, Colossus, Dopinder, Blind Owl, and
everybody else.
Yeah. So the movie would have had to have been like 2.5, 3 hours long.
It would have for sure.
Now I do, and by the way, this shot here, I do love the fact that Peter and basically got Wade a job.
I know.
And Peter, that when we see, and it's funny because we see that Deadpool costume in the locker in the trailer. What we don't realize is that is not Wade's costume.
No.
That is Peter's costume.
I wish I could have found a picture of it because it's one of the most epic scenes ever.
Yeah, when you see him in the costume.
Oh my god, yeah, it's amazing. He's so great.
Yeah. And by the way, the actor, is it John Delaney? Is that his name?
Blah, blah, blah. I think John Delaney was. Oh, that's
the guy that plays Peter.
Who plays Peter? Deadpool. Rob Delaney.
Rob Delaney, sorry. So Rob Delaney's son died tragically at like 18 months old.
No way.
And that's why if you look carefully in the credits, the movie's dedicated to his son.
Oh, that's awesome. I had no idea. Look at that.
Yeah. So that's, I think, really cool. But the the thing about trying to steer away from spoilers as much as I can, it's really hard to talk about this movie without spoilers.
No, for sure.
But the whole plot revolves around the fact that the Fox universe is no more.
Right.
And that and of course you've seen in the trailer the 20th Century Fox logo is in the void.
It really is.
Yeah, because
that's legit.
Yeah, because Fox has been pruned by Disney.
Very much.
And so basically the question becomes, so does that mean all these characters are just gone? And the answer is no. They are now all officially canonized in the MCU. Every Fox movie is canon in the MCU.
It's just a different universe.
Yeah, and Deadpool was a part of that universe. He still lives in that universe.
True.
And although he could, pop in from time to time, because we did see, and the minor spoiler, but it's the first scene in the movie, so, whatever, sue me. In the very first scene of the movie, he somehow gets to Universe 616 to apply for a job at the Avengers.
That was amazing. And who is he talking to?
Yeah. The person giving the interview. Okay, here's just a minor spoiler. It's not a major character. Happy Hogan is interviewing him to be an Avenger.
It's amazing. It's very cool. His whole face it's great.
Yeah, which I was not expecting to see him in this movie.
Neither was I.
The whole point is, he thinks we think it's over. But by the end of this movie, and without giving away the exact details, so if you've seen Loki, you know that the TVA's modus operandi was to simply prune out of existence anything that didn't fall perfectly with the sacred timeline.
Yes.
And according to Paradox, under the new management, now that the God of Stories Loki is in charge, the new method is not to prune, but rather to let these alternate realities die out a natural death.
Right.
And unfortunately, because Fox was no longer in existence, the Fox universe is dying. And that's basically the premise for this whole movie, is that 20th Century Fox has been absorbed by Disney. And it's it's just kind of funny when you think about it. But yeah, the premise of this movie is because of a corporate buyout, their universe is gone.
I love that. That's awesome.
And so what happens to all those IPs? Well, we know mutants are coming to the MCU.
Oh, for sure. Literally, like he's called it the next phase is the mutant era.
Yeah, he's actually said this movie is the beginning of the mutant era, and so if mutants are coming into the MCU, while they may be played by different actors and stuff, those characters are not gone. Sure. So we will see Storm again. We will see Professor X again. We will see Cyclops. And I hate calling her this, but Jean Grey. It's freaking Marvel Girl. Why can't... What's wrong with Marvel Girl?
It sounds hokey. I don't think so, but I'm saying that's what people are going to say.
But, I hope Marvel Studios has the balls to call her by her name. Because, hey, they put Wolverine in the yellow suit.
That's true. I love that storyline. That entire storyline in this movie is amazing.
Yeah, that's a funny. You wouldn't think of it. The yellow suit is an very important part of Wolverine's character.
Yes, they do a wonderful job. When can we talk spoilers?
But we'll talk spoilers. But Miss Marvel and Marvel Girl, two
Yeah.
completely unrelated characters.
Yes, they are.
Marvel Girl was around since the 60s.
True story.
Miss Marvel didn't come around until the 70s or 80s. I can't remember which.
That's not even the current version.
Yeah, the original Miss Marvel was Carol Danvers,
Right.
who is Captain Marvel in the MCU. And Captain Marvel was Monica Rambeau, who is Proton in the MCU.
Sure. We'll go with that. I mean, she's someone who has proton-like powers, sure.
Yeah. But come on, she should be Captain Marvel. She was a way better Captain Marvel in the comics.
Agreed.
And
That was the Captain Marvel I learned in the Avengers back in the day.
yeah, me too. When because she was in the Avengers
Black Knight, Wonder Man, Tigress, all that stuff. Yeah, man.
But yeah, it's
I think we're dating ourselves.
It's so funny when everybody complains about how woke and PC it is, but then they push the black lady aside for a white lady.
That's hilarious.
So the man, this is tough.
I know. That's the problem I was having.
Yeah. So by the resolution of this,
yeah,
we know that Deadpool. Obviously, we know Deadpool's not going to completely fail and die at the end of this. So, Deadpool's universe is basically saved, and so if his universe is saved, that means that Disney will do something with these characters.
I wouldn't mind seeing it, especially because there's. Well, yeah. Now I'm telling you. How do you get around talking about this stuff without? We just need to switch to a full.
All right, so fine. Do you have a spoiler warning?
I don't. I should have put one up. Give me 2 seconds. I'll make one real fast.
All right, 2 seconds. 1,000. 2 1,000. Slow.
Spoilers. Make it green or something. People can actually see it.
Put it down at the. Well, okay, up at the top.
There. Where you want top?
I don't care. You're the artiste.
You're good. There you go. For now, I will have a better alert. By the way, next time, I promise. Anyway, so okay, let's start talking about it. Bro, cameos galore.
Yes,
all the cameos in your face. It's ridiculous.
There's really, I would say, so many cameos that you're like, I'm sure I forgot at least as many as I remember. Okay, let me talk about one of my absolute favorites first, and that is Chris Evans.
I love that.
And so Chris Evans is one of the first cameo that you don't know is coming that comes. Yeah. And of course he's wearing red, white, and blue, but he's wearing a cloak. Totally. And he's like, he's helping out, Deadpool and Wolverine a little bit, and then the bad guys show up, and so he's like, well, we have to stand up to these guys. We're not gonna back down. And Deadpool's like, he's gonna say it, Avengers, and then he goes, flame on, and he bursts into flames and takes off. He's the Human Torch.
My daughter did not know what to do with herself. She was like, what just happened? And I'm like, remember those Fantastic Four movies you always ignore when I'm watching them? Yeah. There you go.
I just about and the funny thing is, I nailed because as soon as he walked up to them, I nudged my wife and she's like, "What? What?" And I said, "He's wearing a blue shirt."
Yeah.
And she's like, "So?" And I'm like, "That's not Captain America."
For real, legit.
I was so stoked about that.
Yeah, no, it was great.
But Pyro, and this is actually something that's very true. Pyro completely shuts him down. Because keep in mind, Johnny's powers are that his body produces a hot plasma flame. Pyro's powers is that he can control flame.
That's awesome.
And so Pyro
right out of
so Pyro literally just sucks the flame off of Johnny.
That character's never been that
and
cool ever.
Man, he got a crotch hit like to end all crotch hits after that. Remember, he fell on that sign.
Yes.
And then for those of you that enjoyed my little hot take at the beginning, that's from the post-credit scene, all said by Chris Evans.
Oh yeah.
word for word, by the way. That I somebody that actually wrote all that down. I copied and in order to get that. But yeah, so that I love, because I love the fact we've now had two members of the Fantastic Four in the MCU.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
half the team, you know, wrong from two different
So
universes, but still.
that's them though.
And I like the fact that that means that the Fantastic Four existed in at least 3 universes.
True story. Well, and that's I honestly do believe that's how we're gonna end up getting them.
Yeah.
I really do. That's where they're gonna have to show. I guess part of their movie, allegedly, according to leaks and whatever else out there,
Yeah, it takes place in
either
another universe that looks like the 60s.
correct. And so, because originally everyone thought the whole movie was going to be a period piece, but that was a misdirect. So they're going to be starting there, and I think the story is going to be that he rediscovered a way through another universe or whatever, that little nth dimension portal, similar to what he had in the comics, and that he's going to go through, and that they've been out there. They've been out there, not exploring per se, maybe even just they got lost, could have been. But whatever the situation is, they've seen it and they've been out there, they've experienced stuff. So when we get them, we should be getting a fully realized Fantastic Four.
Well, and I think that the reason they cross over is going to probably be because Galactus destroys Earth.
Ah, there you go.
Because we do know Galactus is the big bad in the Fantastic Four film.
Yes, absolutely.
And so if Galactus successfully destroys Earth in that movie, where are they going to go? Well, Reed can do interdimensional travel, so
Agreed.
you know.
Absolutely.
And by the way, besides the Human Torch, we got a comic book accurate Fantasticar.
Oh my God, I saw that too. But I saw it when they first pulled in, when they pulled into Paul Rudd's Skeleton, which is their base. I was like, "What is that? A flat car?" And then the first time I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's a fantastic car!"
Yeah.
It was pretty looked good.
So yeah, that was really cool. Comic book accurate. This was so comic book accurate, it's crazy.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, so and by the way, the quest that he's on is that they explain that Logan is the anchor for his universe, the 100 whatever universe, and since he died, that means the universe is going to die, and Paradox wants to just prune the whole universe, rather than wait for it to die naturally.
Because he literally has to wait all that time.
Yeah, I didn't see the Invisible Girl cameo. Yeah, it was right next to the Vanisher, right? And so what Deadpool figures is, well, I'll just get another Wolverine.
Wow, this is one of the best runs in this whole thing.
What's that?
The when he goes looking for them.
Yes, and so then we go on the quest for Wolverine before he finds the one that's the main character in this movie. And maybe a half a dozen or so?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
And so we get a comic book accurate John Byrne Wolverine about to fight the Hulk.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love it. Brown outfit.
Yeah, that's the suit he was wearing. We got the X Crucifixion cover.
Yes.
We got Old Man Logan.
Yep.
We got the one from Age of Apocalypse where his hand was chopped off.
Oh, that looks so great.
Yeah. And then the best one, we got the 5-foot-tall version.
Oh my God. We also got Patch, which is briefly that one.
Yeah, we did get Patch.
The fancy one.
But come on, 5-foot-tall Wolverine.
And then we got Henry Cavill.
Yeah, we did get Henry Cavill as Wolverine.
That's not him, but I couldn't. There's no picture of him online that's any good. So I wanted to make sure, but yeah. Yeah, man, there's some really good. I like those.
Yeah, and I think I told you this when we were just talking, but I'll say this now too. Is my only disappointment. I love the montage, but I think it would have been better had they had a few more non-Hugh Jackman Wolverines. Yeah, because Henry Cavill was the only non-Hugh Jackman Wolverine.
That's right.
A lot of people thought Patch was going to be played by like Daniel Radcliffe or something like that.
Yeah, I did hear that. I remember hearing that.
Yeah, and I would have loved to have seen a Danny DeVito Wolverine.
I feel like that was a missed opportunity. Absolutely.
Yeah, I told you. I think that like Old Man Logan should have been played by Bob Hoskins or possibly
That's awesome.
Jack Nicholson. So either one of those guys could have been a great old Wolverine. So yeah, there's a lot that they could have done with that. Now I understand, budget is budget.
Sure.
So you can't just get every A-list actor to be in the movie. But it would have been so awesome to see.
You know what else was amazing to see? Right there, Dogpool.
Dogpool, yes.
Amazing.
And Dogpool, by the way, is the property of Nice Pool.
Oh my god, I hate him so much.
And Nice Pool is
like a red, almost like a stormtrooper armor.
Yeah, he's wearing the same outfit as regular Deadpool, but it's plastic armor and instead of leather.
Yeah, and he's got a man bun.
He's got a man bun. His face is not scarred at all. And in fact, every time he's on screen, they make it look like he's the most beautiful man ever.
They do.
And they call him Van Wilder at one point, which was
that was great. Great.
But yeah, and Nice Pool is the owner of Dogpool, who is actually named. Do you remember?
No, what's his name?
Mary Poppins.
Oh my god, I hate you so much. That's right. It's Mary Poppins. He's absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's great.
John Malkovich is Old Man Wolverine. That could have worked, creep, for sure.
That would have actually, it would have been amazing.
And yes, Dan, he did call him Van Milder. That's true.
Van Milder. Mm-hmm. Puppins.
Yes.
Call them Puppins. Good job, Stanley. Right on.
So obviously Stan paid closer to. I was just too busy nerdgasming out the whole time.
Yeah, these guys, the whole thing is, I love, what did you think of the actual, when they got to Cassandra Nova's place? She's the villain. We'll talk about her in a second. But when you got to the place, it was former Ant-Man, now Giant Man's body.
Right.
It was literally a who's who of all the bit players.
Right. So you had the red Nightcrawler dude.
Yep.
You did have the X-Men Last Stand Juggernaut.
Yep. Not the same actor, but the same out. He's supposed to be the same guy.
Yeah. You and I remember the guy that played Juggernaut said he didn't want to get into the suit again.
I know.
So
I'm like, bro, really?
Yeah, you're gonna pass up being in this.
It's leather.
You're an idiot.
Okay, it's leather pants and a big metal, goofy-looking hat.
Right. You had, it's funny because some of them, like Deathstrike, was there. She had no lines.
No, but you were there. You're right.
Yeah, Deathstrike was there. Calypso was there.
Yeah.
Basically everybody you see in the trailers is there. There was no fake outs there. They were all actually there.
Yep.
And you do see them in action a little bit, but most of them don't have any lines or just have one or two. Because the big cameos are yet to come.
For sure.
The really big cameos. And they're not even cameos. They're just supporting players.
It's still pretty big.
Yeah. And so Cassandra Nova is basically the queen of the void. And she, if you don't know her already, she is the unborn twin of Professor Xavier that somehow escaped and, got pruned and ended up in the void. And basically she loves the void because she can, she doesn't have to worry about anybody trying to stop her as far as authority because she's the ultimate authority. And because she's so powerful, nobody can fight her. And her powers basically appear to be telekinesis and telepathy, but her telepathy requires physical contact.
Yeah. Super weird with the physical contact part.
Yeah, because she actually reaches into your brain, like her hand phases into your head, and she massages your brain to read your memories. It's really weird. But her telekinesis power is unmatched. Like, when she fights the Human Torch, the entire fight lasts less than a second. I would say less than half a second. She basically snaps her fingers and he's dead.
Yeah, she is super scary when it comes to that nonsense.
Yeah.
I was blown away by it. I was like, what?
Yeah. because Deadpool starts talking smack about what Johnny said about her. And so she said, "Did he really say this?" And Wolverine's like, "What are you doing, man?" And he's like, "Yeah, he said to not even listen to anything you had to say." And she's like, "Really?" And Johnny's like, "Wait, no!" And she snaps her fingers, and Johnny's skin just dissolves off of his body, and his organs fall out.
Yeah, it's
And he,
rough.
yeah, it was a brutal death.
Whew. Yeah, it was. I mean, literally, it happened so fast. I was like, "Oh!" Like, it was so quick the way it happened.
Yeah, and I was not expecting. I was like, "Wait, they just killed Johnny?" They
Quick, man. With a quick.
seriously just wow,
Yep.
you know. Um, and yeah, her telekinetic powers are basically they're. I would say cinematically, they're even more impressive than Ebony Maw. And
Ooh,
Ebony
yeah,
Maw,
I'll go with that.
yeah, and Ebony Maw had really impressive telekinetic powers.
Yes. No, he really did. Ebony Maw almost made it look like magic himself.
Yes, and so, but she looks like she would just say, "Oh, Ebony Maw,"
No, for real.
you know.
It was super impressive. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, Thanos would not want to mess with her because yeah, that she's just crazy powerful. And so Wolverine and Deadpool make a quick getaway from her hideout.
Uh-huh.
And but then they also find out though that the only way out of the void is through her with her help.
True story.
And what are they going to do? Well, they find nice pool or
Nice. Yeah. Nice
the
one.
nice pool and the dog. And Nice Pool has a Honda Odyssey, which is Deadpool's least favorite car for some reason.
It was amazing.
I look. I got to give the highest level of props possible to
It's
Honda
real. No, it's real.
because the fact that they let Deadpool just rail on the Honda Odyssey the way they did makes me want to buy a Honda Odyssey.
No, for real. For real.
It was
It was pretty awesome.
yeah, it was so funny. But so they take Nice Pool's Honda Odyssey to try and drive to the Outlands or something like that, which they
Yeah.
think is a way out, and then they're kidnapped in their sleep. Is that what it was? Where they? No. They fight because they're mad at each other. So they fight until they're both exhausted, and then while they're resting from being exhausted, fight. Yeah, this is the fight scene right here. And so they're both so exhausted from fighting that someone else comes in, takes the car to another location, and they wake up in this cave.
Yep.
And the cave is the lair of 4 other characters that only one of which was revealed in the last trailer, and that is X-23, who is also the one that took the car. So X-23 is kind of their little leader, but the other 3, drum roll please, is Elektra, which a lot of people knew she was going to be in the movie.
For Garner, yeah.
Right, which was awesome to see.
Yep.
A 100% comic book accurate Rami LeBeau, Gambit, and Blade. Not the new Blade, Wesley effing Snipes, who famously hates Ryan Reynolds. and Ryan Reynolds hates him. They hate each other, but they got I think
together for this.
Yeah.
They did a good job.
And so
he did some of the coolest fight stuff I thought I didn't know that I wanted to see. Like seeing him play with they just went for it.
Yeah.
He didn't. It wasn't like the Gambit from that Wolverine Origins movie. Like this, he literally like floated.
This Gambit was doing all the Gambit moves,
all the tricks, and I loved it. I was like, you know what, y'all gonna go for it? Why not?
Yeah.
If this is one shot to be Gambit, blow the whole deck. Let's go, man. It was amazing.
And I'm not sure why you keep talking about the giant black cod piece.
He's why didn't he get one?
Well, I don't know. Why didn't you get one?
No, Gambit's outfit. Why didn't?
Why didn't he get one? I don't know. But I will say this. So this is one of those inside jokes that most people did not get, but it was so. It's one of it's subtle, but it's a perfect example of how the more you know about the MCU, the Fox universe, the Lionsgate films, all that, the more you know about all this stuff, the better you're going to understand this film.
Absolutely.
Raimi was constantly confused. But the reason he was confused was because he wasn't sure how he got to the void. He couldn't remember like if he was born there or if he was pruned. He has no idea. And he has this feeling like he always dreamed of helping people, but he never got the opportunity. And the inside joke there is, of course, by the way, he's played by Channing Tatum,
Who
and who was years ago cast to play Gambit in a Gambit standalone Fox movie that never got made.
I know, it's so sad.
Yeah, and so the
People sleep on this guy. Channing Tatum does everything. He has ego. He plays a version of the Gimp in End of the World. I mean,
yeah, I remember that.
not shy about playing. I'm like, let this man throw himself into a role like this. Like even
And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually let him be Gambit in a future MCU film because
dude, he did so good. He really did.
he nailed the accent too, which was, you know, and the funny thing, every time he talked, Deadpool was like, "Can anybody understand what he's saying?" You know, I can't get it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so and yeah, his card tricks were phenomenal.
Yeah, he did.
He was the full package. Wesley Snipes was the only thing I didn't like was Wesley Snipes has lost a lot of weight since his Blade days, so he's noticeably thinner. But man, he kicked some butt.
Yeah, he did.
And he felt like Blade. You know, he just like, yeah, I'm Blade. Now he had the best metal line in the history of the Deadpool franchise.
He did.
Because at one point, Deadpool was asking where they got all of these guns, and Elektra said that they were Punishers, and to which Deadpool said, "Well, wait, which one? There's been like 5 of them."
That's awesome.
Which, you know, and you know, I think it's kind of a missed opportunity that they didn't try to get like Thomas Jane to be the Punisher or something. That
Totally could have pulled out. I'm like, come on, really, bro?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Because they had the Russian from that movie in the lineup, the guy with the red striped shirt. That was the Russian from the Thomas Jane Punisher film. So you know, get Thomas Jane in there. That would have been awesome. But he makes a little crack about there's been 5 of them, and Blade's like, yeah, but there's only one Blade, and there only ever will be. You know, and then Deadpool just looks right at the camera because we all know Blade is in production. You know.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and of course Jennifer Garner not upset that Daredevil was not with them anymore.
Yeah, she's like,
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm good.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
which that I mean, just the inside meta humor of this movie was some of the best I can think of. I mean, even on Deadpool level, it's just so good.
Agreed.
Because they rip on Fox, they rip on Disney, you know, they just I loved it. Yeah, shot on. You know, I would have loved to have seen Affleck be Daredevil again. And you know what could have happened? And you know what? I'll bet Affleck would have gone for it if they had done it. Here's what I would have done to get Affleck in the movie: is you have like they show up for that big epic confrontation with Cassandra Nova because this new I call them X Force 2.0, but X Force 2.0 shows up at Giant Man's body to fight Cassandra Nova's goons, and they're all lined up. And so you know, they all start shooting at him, right?
Oh yeah.
And so the first guy that takes a shot, headshot on Daredevil, he's dead, right? And then have Deadpool go, Daredevil, oh no! And then have Jennifer Garner goes, eh.
Nice.
Yeah, that I think would have been funny, you know.
That was awesome. The whole thing was good. I love the way the characterizations. I thought the fight between like the good guy bad guys was a little. I mean, it was okay. It was really shaky. And I remember
The
thinking to
fight
myself,
core. You mean the camera work?
yeah, only in that one big field fight when they were all, and I'm like, why is it so, like, why are we doing this 19, well, maybe because the movies were from the 90s, I don't know, or the early 2000s.
Well, yeah, this is really an homage to the Fox films.
True story.
This whole thing was all about Fox. I mean, yes, it's got MCU elements to it, but it's about Fox. So Vinnie Jones said they couldn't afford to get him into the Juggernaut costume on again. Yeah, because he just didn't want to put the costume on. But it's like, dude, really?
Agreed.
I
Yeah,
mean,
like,
come on. And then they could have had him say, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch." That would have just been so awesome.
that's awesome.
Because the worst line in superhero movie history, and it could have been turned into one of the best jokes.
Yeah, wasted opportunities.
Yeah. So yeah, they go back to attack Cassandra Nova, and their plan, which I did love about the Magneto thing, where he's like, "Oh, tell me you got Magneto. Tell me you got Magneto." And then but he goes, "Well, but you can't tell me you don't have Magneto's helmet." Well, actually, Cassandra Nova destroyed it, and he's like, "Ah," So but then they figure there is one other helmet they could use to
That's
block
right.
her powers, and that is Juggernaut's helmet, which
Because,
is
of
comic
course,
accurate. He blocks
story.
Professor X with it.
Yep.
So during the fight, X-23 actually is the one that takes down Juggernaut.
She's amazing.
Yeah, I needed more of her.
I did too. I did too. But she's probably too busy off doing the Acolyte.
Yeah, she was doing the Acolyte at the same time, but man, I wanted to see more of her.
Yeah, agreed.
Because her fight scenes in Logan were the highlight of that movie.
Super some of the best.
Yeah.
I did like that they tried to keep her characterization very similar. Like she does a lot of screaming and she poses are the same.
Right.
So you're like, oh, she's clearly just evolved into. I would have loved to have seen her in a blue outfit though. Like there's some fan art on the internet about that, and I'm like, she looks amazing.
What does she wear blue in the comics?
Yeah, she wears a variation on Wolverine's outfit.
Okay, I've never read her in the comics, so I don't know. Too recent for me. But yeah, so the X-23 takes down Juggernaut. She gets Juggernaut's helmet up to Deadpool. Deadpool slips the helmet onto Cassandra Nova, which incapacitates her.
She is so mad.
Yeah, and then Pyro, who's sick of her, just shows up and starts shooting her. And since since her helmet is blocking her powers from working, she can't heal from the gunshot wounds. And
I don't know how much I agree with this next moment, but I get it. I mean, I get it, but I'm just like, really?
I think it was the problem. Well, here's the problem. If you look at Wolverine, especially from his early days with the X-Men, he always wanted to kill everybody, and everybody else was trying to talk him down from it.
Very true.
Now, I agree that like he would say he would probably feel like, yeah, Charles would not want me to kill you. But my problem is you just finished butchering 75 people outside. So don't tell me that you're worried about killing her when you just killed all her henchmen.
Agreed. No, it's real.
Yeah, that's my problem with it.
Those poor henchmen.
Yeah. And Creep, you know what? I'm done with the boys. I don't care. Because you know what? Here's the funny thing. Like people say, "Oh, well, you're such a hypocrite because you like Deadpool, but you don't like the boys."
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't think so.
The boys is much more depraved than Deadpool. Like Deadpool is vulgar, but it's and in fact I like what Ryan Reynolds says. You can always punch up, never punch down. And so there's never a condescending feeling to the humor, where the boys there certainly is, and the boys has turned lately into just this whole anti-Republican propaganda anyway. And
my thing is, look, the two things are also very, very different. Whereas Deadpool was never supposed to be a send-up of superhero-dom. He was never supposed to be a commentary on that. He was literally just a response to another character over a DC. So other than that, like, he wasn't designed to be. Whereas everything in The Boys is designed to be a deconstruction of the superhero genre. It's designed
Right.
to purposely look and point at different things in the genre that are either flawed or don't make sense or whatever else. That's not what Deadpool's about. Deadpool will look around at the world he lives in and act like it's crazy. He's like, look, this stuff, you guys are out of your mind if you think this is normal. You know what I mean? That's one thing. But he himself is not, he's not actually I don't see him as being making fun of superheroes.
Right. In fact, because he wants to be one, he just sucks at it
True story.
because he doesn't have the right temperament. He ends up killing people, which I mean, I love the ending of the first Deadpool when he shoots Francis, and Colossus just starts puking everywhere because
That was awesome. I love that one.
But Deadpool he wanted to be an Avenger. He genuinely wanted to be an Avenger. But the problem is, like Happy even tells him, the problem is the Avengers don't do it because they want to be Avengers. They do it because the world needs them to be Avengers.
Here's a good question.
Yeah, it's funny because yes and no. Because, the Sacred Timeline, it's weird because what they call the Sacred Timeline doesn't appear to be one timeline.
No.
And so the Sacred Timeline is just like timelines that fall within a certain set of parameters.
Correct.
And if they go outside of those parameters, then the TVA needs to act. And generally, now after the Loki season 2, the only thing that really triggers the TVA to action is when a Kang variant starts causing trouble.
Right.
But now that, Kang himself has gotten into a little too much trouble to continue being part of Marvel, we'll see if the TVA changes their priorities there.
Right.
But
Stanley asked, so did Logan not happen in the Sacred Timeline? I don't think so, actually. I think it happened out in the multiverse, which they're letting exist.
Yeah.
But it is not part of, like you said,
as long as there's no
the
Kang.
Sacred Timeline.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right. So they're okay with the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and all that, as long as there's no Kang.
That's right. And we talk about no Kang.
Yeah. And so, got 1,000 problems, but a Kang ain't one.
There you go.
Awesome. And by the way, X-Force, their whole thing was they were saying, we just want to go down with, and basically they want to go down with a noble end.
Right.
And that's kind of what they're after, which is kind of funny because it's basically saying, let's let Fox die with dignity.
Okay. I don't know that I've ever heard it put that way, but I think that's a good way to look at it. Yes.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's like these, I think that's like the purpose of this movie is to show that, look, the Fox universe gave us a lot of stuff.
Okay, that's fair.
And
they did. To be
even
fair,
though, I rag on the X-Men movies, and I will continue to rag on the X-Men movies because I think they're horrible.
Yeah.
However, I do recognize that the modern superhero films were in large part because of Fox and Lionsgate, because those companies were putting out superhero films before it was cool to do it.
Agreed. No, I agree with that for sure.
Yeah. And Lionsgate, for those of you that don't know, are the ones that put out basically the darker stuff. They put out Blade and Punisher. While Fox put out nothing but PG-13 stuff.
That's true.
Fantastic Four, X-Men. And of course, Sony did the Spider-Man films, but that was a couple of years later.
Yes, that's true. You're absolutely
right. The modern superhero films really kind of started with Blade. And so we owe them a lot. And so I think getting them into this movie and giving them a proper send-off, letting Blade, Elektra, and X-23 go down in a blaze of glory was awesome. And as far as go down, we don't know exactly. We know they beat the bad guys, but Eliath shows up. And did Eliath destroy them? We don't really know. Because Eliath shows up just as Wolverine and Deadpool leave.
It's true. That's true.
And so we don't really know if there's... and that, I think, leaves it open for a possible sequel.
I agree.
Depending on how the fans reacted to seeing them again and how much money they want to throw at Wesley Snipes.
What did you think about the invention of the new term anchor being? this idea
Well,
that
that's
there's
from
one.
the comics, isn't it?
Is it? I don't. I know that there were Nexus beings, which are people who exist.
Oh, maybe
across
that's what it
all
was.
of.
Yeah.
But this whole idea of like there's one all important person that your entire universe hangs on.
I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest, because it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
Because doesn't that mean that pretty much every universe is doomed?
Sure.
Because sooner or later, that anchor being's going to die.
Yeah.
Even if the anchor being is like Logan, and by the way, how did the universe exist before Logan was born?
Maybe it. That's a good question. See, it sounds cool. It's like being the chosen one. It's one of those things that sounds
but when
cool.
you think about it, it makes no sense.
Right. It starts now. You start going. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. That's my problem. Is that I don't see. I mean, look, I'm not going to say this is a perfect film when it comes to that stuff, because the anchor being okay, it's a MacGuffin. They just kind of come up with an excuse. Oh, and you know, we missed one of my favorite gags in the whole movie. It was the very first gag in the movie, which is that we start out before even the credits start, and you hear Deadpool doing standard Deadpool type narration, saying, "Okay, I know what you're thinking. You know the title of this film, so you're thinking." How the heck are we going to, didn't say heck, are we going to have Wolverine in this movie without desecrating the legacy of the masterpiece that was Logan? And he goes, well, simple. We're not. And then he literally starts digging up the bones of Logan at the same site where Logan ended.
Yep.
And he uses Logan's bodily remains to fight off a horde of TVA agents.
It's kind of amazing, actually.
Yeah, it was a great fight. But and the credits, and this is actually another thing that I want to address. So the credits were engraved in Wolverine's adamantium bones. And so as he threw a bone, it would slow down for a second, and you'd see starring Ryan Reynolds engraved on the bone. Now, they also intercut this with Deadpool doing the most ridiculous dance number in the history of dance numbers.
I don't know how ridiculous it was.
Oh, come on.
It was to what you call. It was the Backstreet Boys, wasn't it? Or
yeah, I think it was Backstreet Boys, but the moves he was making were so exaggerated. It was just like, come on.
Oh, absolutely.
But the
thing is, those were all the choreographed moves from the thing, like from Backstreet Boys that they used to do.
I know, but he took them. Just to the next level as far.
Hold on, the crazy guy who can't die with the eyes that are white took it too far.
Well, okay, shut up. I think that when you look at so they cut back and forth between Deadpool dancing and the credits engraved in the bones, and my point is. They're the actual credits this time. First time in a Deadpool movie, we see the actual names of these people rather than God's perfect idiot, a line that Wolverine delivers later, which is a little inside joke.
I love it.
But remember, that's what it said, Ryan Reynolds. That was his name in the credits of the first Deadpool film, was God's perfect idiot. Stan Lee was credited as a gratuitous cameo. So they which, by the way, did you catch the Stan Lee cameo?
No.
Oh, you missed it.
Where was it?
It was on the side of the bus in the big fight.
Oh, my God.
There was a picture of Stan Lee.
That's very cool. Yeah. I'm going to go see it again tomorrow, so I have to take a look at it.
CGI sidekick. Yeah, but in this one, they actually had the regular credits, but it was engraved in the bones, and Deadpool was doing this completely over-the-top fight scene, desecrating the corpse of Logan. Now,
as one does.
Yeah, but what that shows me is a couple of things. A, this movie is hilarious, but B, it's different than the other two Deadpool movies.
It's fair.
Because we've never seen real credits in a Deadpool movie before.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so I kind of like that they kind of set up from the very beginning that, no, don't worry, we're going full bananas with the dark humor, but it's not Fox.
Right.
And so they're, let's see. I saw it, and he talked smack to Stan Lee. Did he talk smack to him? I don't remember that.
I don't either.
I'd have to. I'm
Of course, I barely remember the actual cameo, so whatever.
yeah. So yeah. So after they jump back, so basically, Wolverine spares her, and so as a thank you, she uses Doctor Strange's sling ring to open up a portal, to so they could get back uh, to Deadpool's universe to stop them from using the Time Ripper, which is basically a device that prunes an entire timeline. And now, I don't buy the Cassandra would have said, "Oh yeah, I'll let's let you go now." I think she would have just immediately ripped them to pieces. She was you. I think you muted yourself.
Let's be fair. She also used him as an opportunity to to. She wanted to follow them through, so
Right.
it's like you guys go do whatever, and I'm showing up, and she doesn't show up alone. That's the
Right.
very first
So
time
she
that
brings 100 Deadpools.
we get the Deadpool core.
Yes, including Headpool and
Yep.
Lady Pool,
Yep.
and of course a new addition for the movie, Wexpool. Do you
Awesome.
know about Wexpool?
No.
You don't? Oh,
No.
okay. So one of the Deadpool variants that you
Oh,
see
Wexham, that
is
TV
wearing
one.
the Wexham logo
That's awesome.
on their chest, and it looks like they're like their outfit looks almost like armor, like a knight wearing armor with the Wexham logo in the middle.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one was, you got to give Ryan Reynolds credit. He knows how to get free advertising out of everything, which I love. Like every time he's on an interview on some talk show, he'll say, it's funny because I was in New York the other day and I got a call and I realized how ridiculous it is that my phone only costs $15 a month.
Oh my god, I hate him.
You know, he does that every time. I love it because,
See him on Hot Ones.
huh?
On Hot Ones with they did a Hot
Yeah, I
Ones.
think he did do that during the Hot Ones
The whole
thing.
time he's like because you can get this hot sauce and blah blah. He starts
Yeah.
trying to show their hot, and I was like, good for you guys. Right
He's
on,
like the
man.
best marketer ever.
He really is.
And and before we wrap it up here, so they go back. Wolverine and Deadpool are now face down with 100 Deadpools,
Very
and
cool fight.
I love the whole thing where Deadpool's like, "Okay, are you with me on this?" And he's like, "What, chance to kill 100 of you? F yeah, I'm ready."
That was awesome. That was the best.
So yeah, then and by the way, Lady Pool is
So
the
cool.
first to go down.
Oh my god, so much.
I mean, like Wolverine takes a couple of claws to her and she's done.
Well, we get to see the end and demise of Nice Pool.
Yeah, and so yeah, the Ice Pool takes about 100 shots when they start shooting at him, and Deadpool holds up Nice Pool in front of him to block the bullets, and then he's like, "Okay, how long do you need to regenerate?" And he's like,
Regenerate?
"What?" And then he dies.
Oh my gosh, it was so great because it was just such a perfect. Oh yeah, so you're Mr. Perfect. Not anymore. No, you're
Yeah.
not. Yeah, it was great. It's so brutal.
Yeah, and oh yeah, and Wolverine puts on the cowl. Thank
That
you,
was
Sam.
the best.
And
was so
so
cool.
then they go down. They stop Cassandra from her using the Time Ripper, and of course, by the way, my wife had to comment on how insane Hugh Jackman's body looked when his shirt exploded.
Bro. Oh my gosh, that was I was like, really?
Yeah.
And then
And
you
yes,
see
Blake
Deadpool's
Lively.
like,
We don't know that Blake Lively was in the costume, but we do know she voiced Lady Pool.
right on.
It's in the credits. But yeah, so yeah, when his shirt popped off, my wife was like, "Oh, I can't look at that." That was like,
That's awesome.
and then of course Deadpool was looking at him like, "Dang,"
That was the best.
Uh,
He looks around like, okay,
Yeah,
it was good stuff.
and yeah, Hugh. I got to say, Hugh's such an inspiration. He's 55 years old.
Dude looks amazing, utterly
And,
amazing.
and he was not this big a couple of years ago. I mean, he got
No.
all this put on for this movie. And so, man, Hugh. Oh, by the way, another great line, and this was in the last trailer too, but where the kid's like, "That's Wolverine." He's like, "Yeah, Disney brought him back. He's gonna be doing this till he's 90."
Yes, that was awesome.
And then when they're out there at the end, after they stop the bad guys, he looks over at Hugh and he's like, "Until you're 90."
Yeah, man.
So yeah, so they save the day, they save the timeline. We get an insanely, I tell you, it actually brought a tear to my eye. A tribute to
Oh
Fox.
yeah, those were great.
Yeah, during the end credits, there's about a 3 or 4 minute tribute to all the Fox movies.
They did so good.
And even stuff that was not referenced in this
Yeah,
movie, they showed little clips of, little snippets of behind the scenes, like
yeah,
costume fittings and
that was
stuff like
awesome.
that. It was so cool to see all these guys. Um, and then, yeah, and then we get the post credits scene where we find out that Deadpool didn't lie about Johnny.
And that's where we hear the whole speech that you said at the beginning of the show.
Yes. So,
It's awesome.
on a scale of 1 to 100, where are you going to put this?
Really? 1 to 100? I hate you.
Well, that's Criticless, dude.
1 to 100.
Aren't you going to rate this on Criticless?
Yeah, of course I am. I'm gonna give this a 75 out of 100.
Wow, you're mean.
No, because there's some other. It's not as wonderful and great as everybody wants it to be, but it is wonderful and great. Just if you went in with expectations and high hopes, like don't bring them down. Not that you're wrong. Just
Right.
bring them down a little to a more manageable place. You know what I mean? But otherwise, everything we got, I did love. I did love. I appreciated it. I'll watch this again. I'm going to go see it tomorrow. So
I
I'm
definitely want to see this
yeah.
again this week. I actually scored it stupid high. Me and the wife agreed we're going to give it a 95,
Okay.
and that's a stupid high score for me. But it's not because obviously it's not a flawless film, but it delivered on everything I wanted.
That's fair.
There was when I walked out of that film, I didn't feel like, man, I wish they had. Which I do that at almost every movie I see. You know, if only they had. Yeah, there were a couple of things that we've talked about that I could have tweaked and done a little better, but I love this movie.
Yeah, no, it was a really good. It was a very good movie. It was a good movie.
This to
I'll
me,
revise. I'll go to 85.
all right, this to me is not only it's the best X-Men film, the best Fox film, even though it's not made by Fox. And it's
Agreed.
a beautiful send off to the Fox universe. And I love the fact that you could actually say they saved the best for last.
Yeah, that's good. That's a
You
good
know,
call.
and so to me, like if this is the Fox universe's Endgame, even though it's not as big as Endgame. And
That's fair.
you know, would it have been neat if we had gotten the original X-Men or if we got all the Fantastic Four or something? Sure, but this isn't a $1 billion budget movie.
No,
Although
it's real.
I have a feeling that based on the early box office, they could have spent more, but I think they had to be careful. And Kevin Feige did say that he definitely wants to work with this team again.
That'd be awesome. I can't
So
wait.
yeah. All right. So I know you're not feeling well, so we're gonna wrap it up here in just a minute. But guys, I do want to say thank you for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Hope you like the new look for the background and stuff. This was all the work of Mr. Know It All.
We're gonna do more cool stuff. I promise.
Yeah, and we hope Danny will be back soon. And more on that hopefully next week. And in the meantime, so what are we doing next week?
What are we doing next week? We have to do we have to.
Well, we're going to do a few more episodes of Prodigy, but
Right.
then what?
Aren't we recording something for the Patreon?
Well, that's we're supposed to meet tomorrow, and we'll try to figure something
Okay.
out. 'Cause-
Okay. Then I'll know more. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm down. But I'm having a good time. You can always check me out at my YouTube channel, which is at A Real Know It All, Mr. Know It All Show, and of course Salty Trekker. You have like a couple places that you hang out.
Well, no, I'm mostly I'm
Is
here
this-
and I'm over on Salty and Pepper is the channel that my wife and I put our reviews together on.
Right on. Very cool.
And so that's although I haven't posted in a couple weeks because I've been lazy. I got to get better about that. I need you to start producing the videos for that too.
I got you, bro. We'll talk. Let's figure it out.
All right, guys. So take care. Have a good one, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, man. I'm down. Let's go.